Hey fellow YouTubers, time to spin some ideas your way. Hope this can be an inspiring video for some that are, wondering what to do with themselves, or maybe they lost a job due to COVID, or they just want to switch things up. They don't want to go through the rush hour and do the same old thing every day. I started buying and selling all kind of goodies ever since I was, fairly young. Started off with various foosball tables, cleaning them up. Some people, they're tired of looking at their items, or they're not utilizing them, they're collecting dust and they want to get rid of it. And around the corner is someone else that's begging or looking for that exact item, and they're willing to pay 2 to 100 times more for that product. Anyone can do this with anything that excites them. Personally, I really appreciate old audio video products, large and heavy products that our economy does not really want to replicate anymore. These are marks in history. I like to refurbish old turntables, receivers, speakers. If there's a part gone, source it out on eBay, or it's a lot of contact cleaning, a lot of detailing, lubricating, bit of soldering here and there, changing lights, a lot of dusting, cleaning and adjustments non-stop. These old video AV products, they just need a bit of TLC and they're good for another couple decades. This video is also going to cover some shipping tips and tricks that I wish I knew a long time ago, because now I'm playing catch up. That's in a bit. Cool ways to source items that you may enjoy. You go to yard sales, estate sales, and find old or interesting things. It could be shoes or clothing, anything that turns your crank. If you could pick it up for a fraction of its value, and clean it up and properly market it on many platforms while taking many clear photos in daylight and providing a proper description, and be ready to ship it on the fly, you can make excellent money if you want to replace your current job or supplement your income. It doesn't take much to hustle here and there. Do an extra couple transactions a month, and you could easily surpass the living wage or minimum wage. I've been working since I was 12. Flipping certain old toys that are worth good money. You can raise decent cash to improve your life, improve your lifestyle. This is not necessarily for everyone. It's some things can be very take up a lot of space. I've had to move into a larger area to display my collection. We're gonna walk around for fun, just to show you a little background of what I'm about. I've sold a lot of things locally, and I've shipped close to 800 pieces worldwide, you name it. It could be anything, vintage hats or audio parts, or drivers, amplifiers, integrated amps, speakers, CD players, tape decks, VHS players, you name it. It could be instruments, anything of quality or value. I will clean it up and promote it, and or refurbish it and advertise it on as many platforms as humanly possible. But I found about 7 years ago, I decided that I had to start shipping, because the collection was essentially getting out of hand, and you realize, you actually need to ship if you want to reach a larger audience and get more money for your products and sell them a lot quicker. If you're going to be doing this type of lifestyle, being a picker or a flipper, whatnot, you got to do it with things that you truly love and that inspire you and that you appreciate either enjoying, utilizing, or looking at. Because sometimes it could take a while to move some of these items. It could take 20 minutes or 2 years or more to move these products. At the end of the day, you get to enjoy them, and for me, it's just literally upgrading steer equipment every couple days. Things come and go. It's pretty amazing. Appreciate old cameras, literally any type of antique signs, anything that is of robust build quality, because back in the day we didn't really cut corners like today. Everything's made in China. It's a real shame. These old amplifiers sound fantastic when everything's cleaned up and paired with a nice pair of speakers. There's just no replacement for displacement. The larger and heavier the unit, it's gonna sound magical and create a real experience. Just free info, the older the solid state, the closer it's gonna sound to tube sound. I worked in new home audio sales not long ago at the largest Canadian electronics chain in Western Canada, and you compare stuff that's in stores. It's light, it's thin, it's underbuilt, and it sounds very thin or tinny, and it's sort of like aggravating on the ears after a while when things sound hollow or sort of digital. They're trying to make things very efficient on power, and everything's cutting corners, but it's just not worth it. These new things they're recommending, for surround sound and whatnot, things are broadcasted in stereo. 80% of things are broadcasted in stereo. A lot of people don't know that you can connect and stream your phone directly to these old receivers or integrated amps with a simple auxiliary cord. It's a red and white RCA to 3.5mm headphone jack, and this hardwired method is significantly sounds better than any Bluetooth signal, and it's like a $3 solution. We're streaming everything. Things are compressed. The file is 1/10 or 1/50th of the studio recording, and then we're sending it through a compressed Bluetooth signal. It sounds hollow, thin, lifeless. In comparison to like a record, if things are all cleaned up and aligned, that can sound very magical. But again, there's a place and a time for all sources. If you really like Bluetooth, you can connect a Logitech Bluetooth or a module to any old receiver. It's like a $20 or $30 solution if you're really keen on Bluetooth. Again, I've had to move to this larger space. I'm still moving in. I'm still getting organized. Haven't really been able to set up the projector. In the past, I've demoed, concert Blu-rays. The Doors 1968. Old concerts that are remastered in HD, and the sound and the visual is off the charts. So I'm gonna get a projector screen up and running as soon as possible. Shipping. Again, if you want to make things happen, you're going to want to ship. It's not that difficult. You need to gather the right boxes and foams, whatnot. This is like a 300 square foot space, caked in very large boxes. There's literally piano boxes, amp boxes that I get, and foams and bubble wraps of every style that I get at local bins, local electronics store, local musical shops, any local place. They're always tossing out beautiful boxes and packaging that were derived from multi-$1,000 pieces of stereo equipment that ought to not be thrown out in the landfill. So I take pride in saving. I've saved, well over 1,000 pounds. I've filled up my car countless times, almost every week, with boxes in really neat products. There's a place locally, they tossed out literally JBL speakers, turn around, clean them up, tighten this tiny solution. They're up and running. They're worth hundreds of dollars. They throw out interesting demo signs of all sorts. I've seen Sennheiser signs, Onkyo signs, Monster signs, Sony signs. I post them on Kijiji or locally, and they sell. They should not be tossed out. There's also a lot of people, upgrading to sound bars, whatnot, and they're getting rid of their old vintage, excellent steer equipment. That's sometimes how I get steer equipment like that, is trade or help people set up steer equipment. People move, people die. Anything of quality, I'm gonna buy it all. Word of mouth, yard sales, estate sales. People bring me trades, projects, you name it. Sometimes these old speakers, they sound incredible, but sometimes they need a little bit of TLC. Like these old JBLs or Infinities, the foams had disintegrated. Foam naturally disintegrates. It only lasts like 25 to 35 years. But if it's a high-end speaker, they deserve to be redone. Like this area here. It was brittle, falling apart, and now there's a brand new foam. So it has another 30 years of enjoyment left, and then they deserved a second chance. It's very hard to come across speakers, real wood veneer in craftsmanship, like this. This is over 100-pound speaker. These speakers are like 70 pounds, and I feel like I'm honestly giving them away compared to what's at the local electronics stores. Things are very expensive because of inflation. As time goes on, our dollar is buying less and less and less. And if you live in Canada right now, with the exchange rate in the USD is almost a 40% difference. And even if we were at par, electronics and toys in Canada are already 20 to 30%, up to 40% more to begin with, even if we were at par, because most of these companies come from the States. There's import fees, all that stuff, and it's supply and demand. We got to take eBay prices, in the States with a grain of salt, because there's 20 to 40 times more of these products in the States. And if you live in Canada, these high-end vintage audio pieces, or anything in general, it could be typewriters or any product that you come across, there's just significantly less of it in Canada. So it should be worth, I would say, slightly more, or gain, or retain in value because of what's happening with our economy. Things are getting expensive and quality is going down the hill. Back to shipping tricks and what you're gonna need if you want to move things as quickly as humanly possible. You're gonna need a good scale to give shipping quotes at home. It's very important. This scale I found absolutely free at the Long and McQuaid bin. It just needed a battery and it works beautifully. I'm so grateful to get something like this. It's like $150 new, something like this. I get to use it for absolutely free. You're gonna need a bread knife to cut your thick foam, and you're gonna need lots of tape. I fly through tons of tape. You're gonna just get an 8-pack. When there's a sale, get an 8-pack at Staples, Costco, whatever's easy for you. For foam, you're gonna need 1.25 to about 3 inches around your product to protect it from at least, a 6-foot drop is essentially the industry standard. I want things to land from the sky and still land and still be unscathed. For fun today, I had to custom cut these boxes to fit these speakers. As you can see, the width and the width and the depth of this box was absolutely perfect with this foam, but the box was like a foot too tall. Now, in the past, sometimes you could just top it off with a lot more foam, but that's overkill, and it's going to cost you more in shipping. So a trick that I realized I had just been starting to practice it before I was freehand folding boxes, and it makes for an uneven curve in the box. So essentially what you're gonna do is, once you've topped off your box, you've put your foam pieces all the way around and you filled the inside area. This box flap was way up to here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your ruler and slide it into the box, and you're gonna press against the box, and you're gonna reformat it by pressing the outer box over your flat edge, and that'll help you shorten the box. And then you're gonna fold it, and you're gonna cut everything with your bread knife, down exactly center. And that's what I did with this box. It's exemplary. It's like the factory. It's gonna get there in one piece. These were, again, very valuable boxes that were tossed out at the bin. These were holding speakers that were like $2,000 or $4,000. It's a double thickness cardboard. They're held with staples. You're not gonna find a stronger, better built box. And what I like to do, usually the boxes are a little bit more beat up than this, but in either case, what you're gonna want to do is reinforce the used box as much as you can. I like to tape around the box, sometimes entirely, like literally tape 360, depending on the integrity of the box you already got. And I like to tape around the edges like that. Moisture or things can't get caught on the edges and like rip your box open. So I like to go around the perimeter, and again, just reinforce that box as much as you physically can. You're better off doing it overkill, and you want to confidently send things in the mail, and instead of paying for extra insurance in case if it gets damaged, you're better off just overpad your product. Canada Post has been very reasonable and extremely reliable. 9 out of 10 times, it's cheaper than what I think it's gonna be. This is like a 50-pound box going to this tiny town, which is only 4.5 hours from here, but it's only gonna cost like $54 each to send it. I think that's very reasonable. Smaller products like this, like an 18-pound box could go to Vancouver Island and cost like $21 to $25 depending on the weight. I can't even, the value of their service is incredibly fair. Here's more example of nice boxes that I like to scavenge. I'm not a big Sonos guy. I'm not into wireless stuff. Wireless means it sounds a little hollow. It depends. Depends how you want to set things up. Anyways, they make good boxes, and very grateful to come across this type of box here. Look at the foam. It's like a 2-inch. This newer style black foam. I love coming across this. You can cut it to any shape and wrap around any product. I've had this box over 20 times. It's a local home audio place. These installers, they set it up at whatever business or house, and then they toss out the packaging. And I go there every week to save them. But a box like this, I've placed very large receivers or power amps that are like up to 80 pounds, or turntables, whatnot. You slide it into, you know, pat it some more and then top it off like this. And you know, it looks very professional, you know, receiving a package like this, and you could sleep at night knowing you sent this product, you know, well packaged is, you know, the name of the game. If people are happy with your packaging, your communication, whatnot, they're gonna want to deal with you over and over again.